All right. Welcome to October's Inner Circle meeting. Jalen, I will give you the floor.
Oh, you're just going to pass it right off. Okay,
Oh,
great.
I'm going to just pass it right over
All
to
right. Big, long introductions are not necessary anyway.
you.
So,
No.
my name is Dr. Jalen Ricks. I'm a sexologist. I practice in Palm Springs, California. I'm not sure how many people saw the little pre-video or whatever, but got my degree at the Institute of Advanced Studies of Human Sexuality, God rest its soul, in San Francisco. Long story there, and not enough time here. And I have been doing body work and touch and sacred intimacy since the early 90s, and got my degree and certified in 2006. And I work with all kinds of people who want to work on their sexuality, maximizing their pleasure and sexual health. And but I'm also a religious abuse survivor. And again, I don't know if you saw the video. I'll give you the little 1 minute thing. Found myself growing up in a very conservative Southern Baptist religious environment in Sacramento, of all places. People say, there's Southern Baptists in Sacramento? And I say, oh, yes. Those farming communities and trucker communities, they just love the Southern Baptists. And it was a very stable environment. 3 square meals a day. Mom and dad were wonderful parents. It probably would have even been good if I fit the mold. But somewhere in my early teens, I figured out that what I was experiencing was different from what the other boys were experiencing. In fact, I was becoming really attracted and having little crushes here and there on other boys. And what limited sexuality education I had at the time, and God bless California in the 70s. They did have basic body parts and the real basic sex ed, which was better than nothing. And of course, nothing about LGBT in the 70s or anything like that. It was just beginning to happen, becoming public. And I figured out somehow I just figured it would pass. Oh, this is boys experiment, I heard, and but it tended to get more pronounced. And in fact, when I was in college, went to a Christian college, I had a good friend that we would pray together every week. And there's this thing in religion called unspoken prayers. If you have something really personal that you want prayer about, but you don't want to say what it is, you say, oh, I have an unspoken prayer that needs praying. And I've talked with David, and we don't remember who said what first, but one of us said, oh, I have an unspoken prayer that needs to be prayed about. And then the other said, well, I have an unspoken prayer that needs to be prayed about. And we looked at each other and we just knew. And we tried to support each other. We tried to be strong for each other. We ended up making out. And that brought big crisis for me. And about the only thing I knew at that time, at that kind of religious bubble, was an ex-gay ministry, and who professed to turn people from gay to straight. And I dove into it. I was a part of one weekly kind of drop-in groups, and for about 6 to 8 months, and didn't work. And actually it brought about some really severe crisis for me. I wasn't suicidal, but I got close. And especially when a fellow person in the group did commit suicide, that really brought up some real doubts. and furthermore, when these leaders that were in front of us would speak in public, in ministry, and in churches about how this worked, and you need to give money to the ministry, and they kind of parade people out. Oh, he used to be on the street and prostitute, now he loves Jesus. But then in privacy, these very same leaders would say things like, well, I have to fantasize about men to satisfy my wife. Didn't sound very straight to me. And these are people who were at it for years and years. So summer came, and summer break from college, and I if this was my lot in life, I wanted to I really felt like I needed to see for myself. I had been told what the gay life was all about, and given horror stories of drug-addled people in the gutter, and demon possessed, and I just felt like if I was going to get this little reward out of me being a chaste gay man, and having to kind of fake it in the Christian world as a straight man, I really needed to see for myself. And I joked that was my summer of love, or my summer of lust. And I dove in, and much to my surprise, I met some of the most loving, selfless, compassionate people. And not only that, I assumed that, I would kind of leave God on a shelf while I had my fun during the summer. And that summer was when I felt God the most. And that really blew my mind. I thought, oh, wait a minute, this is confusing. And so I didn't go back to the ex-gay ministry. It started me on a journey. And I joke that the ex-gay world made me a sexologist. and that's where I went. And as I learned more about healthy sexuality, I became a real advocate against these groups, realizing that much of what I had been through bordered on cultism and abusive use of religion. And I have no trouble with healthy aspects of spirituality and healthy aspects of religion as well. But that was not my experience. And as we know now, there's a kind of religious abuse is pretty rampant, especially